Hello, everyone. We are continuing on with week 3 of our theme of democracy. This week's message is one of unity and fighting for our faith's ideals. I will begin with some opening words. We unite in our differences in background and belief. We unite with gratitude and hope. Hope for a world of differences. Hope for a world that honors difference. We unite in community with gratitude for difference. I'm now going to move on to our chalice lighting. I'm going to light the chalice in front of me. If you have a chalice or a candle at home, feel free to light it as well. Take from life its coals, not its ashes. Fan the flames of love and justice. Join hands and hearts in common endeavor, and there will be no limit on what we can achieve together. Our first reading is called The Holy Work of Showing Up. How is it with your soul? This is the question that John Wesley, Anglican priest and founder of Methodism, was known to ask of participants in small reflection groups. I ask you because for me, this has been a hard week. So, beloveds, how is it with your souls? If your response to that question is anything like mine, I want to invite you to pause, take a deep breath, say a prayer, sing a song, light your chalice. Feel the force of gravity pulling us all toward the same center, whatever helps you feel more rooted and less alone. Now do it again, and again, and again. And once you feel that rootedness and connection, hear this. You are loved beyond belief. You are enough. You are precious. Your work and your life matter, and you are not alone. You are part of a great cloud of witness, living and dead, who have insisted that this beautiful, broken world of ours is a blessing worthy of both deep gratitude and fierce protection. Our ancestors and our descendants are beckoning us, compelling us onward toward greater connection, greater compassion, greater commitment to one another and to the earth. Together, we are resilient and resourceful enough to say yes to that call and to make it our life's work in 1,000 different ways, knowing that we can do no other than bind ourselves more tightly together and throw ourselves into the holy work of showing up again and again to be part of building that world of which we dream, but which we have not yet seen. Our second reading is called Preaching Faith in Democracy by Courtney Martin. There is a quieter, more reflective kind of patriotism beginning to spring up in cities throughout the country. It's a patriotism more interested in wrestling with our values than waving our flag, more likely to feature poetry than debate, and more invested in discussing local issues than the large slate of 2020 presidential hopefuls. It's called Civic Saturdays. It was started by a Seattle-based nonprofit organization called Citizen University, which aims to revitalize civic identity in action. Its co-founders, Eric Liu and Jana Kane, had already been brainstorming about how to create a civic analog to church. They called it civic religion. The heart of the service is the sermon, designed to get congregants thinking beyond the day's headlines to deeper themes of their democracy. Mr. Liu writes, "The sermons are all about what it means to live like a citizen in an age of brokenness." Often Americans think about their most entrenched divides being along party lines, Democrats versus Republicans. The Civic Seminary proposes the idea that beneath the cacophony of partisan debate are more fundamental divides between liberty and equality, or between a Hamiltonian versus Jeffersonian view of the role of government, or between the pluribus and the unum, among many others. Civic Saturdays are meant, however, not just to scratch an existential itch for the individuals who show up, but to change the nation. Mr. Liu explained that citizenship is not about papers and passports. Instead, he said he has a favorite equation: power plus character equals citizenship. This week's sermon is called From the One, Many: Prospects for a New Universalism by Wayne B. Arneson. Tribalism, ethnic pride, and nationalism are not necessarily the demons that plague our world, but they do have their demonic side. The demonic side of tribalism is the tendency to make the people of other tribes into the agents of the devil. It is to misunderstand the religious revelation or spiritual insight of your tribe's religion as exclusive and impossible to reconcile that of the tribe next door. To fight the tribe next door then becomes not only a matter of pride or self-defense, but a religious duty. All over the world, in places where religious obligation is combined with tribal economic and cultural interests, we find humanity creating hell. In its earliest forms, the pioneers of universalism saw as their task the liberation of the human mind and heart from the fear of hell. Today, the universalism we preach does not address hell as specifically as it once did, but the world around us is still imprisoned by hell's image. In the 21st century, our universalist message is consistent with that preached by our religious ancestors, when we proclaim that the face of the enemy is not that of any great Satan or his agents, but instead the face of people well known to us, people who love their children and seek the best for them, people who face death with courage and wonder what lies beyond it, people whose aspirations are no different from the ones that we have. The universalist message that makes sense in the 21st century can no longer be based on the belief of e pluribus unum, from many, one. From the many, one suggests an imposed unity, a phony syncretism, which no longer speaks to the aspirations of the many tribes and nations around the world. On the contrary, the universalist message we must embrace will be grounded instead in the motto, from the one, many. The belief that from the one, within the one, which is behind our human drama in all its forms, there is a place for each of the many cultures, many ways of worship, many revelations through which the one is manifest. This country in which we live, the United States of America, has been among the finest examples of what from the one, many can mean. The ideal of a liberal democracy with individual liberty and economic opportunity for all has attracted people of every nation and tribe to come here to make their home. This country is moving from the image of a melting pot to the image of a mosaic. Yet we see a disturbing trend from within the political and religious right in this country. The strongest tribal division we see happening in this country today may not exist between diverse ethnic groups or denominations, and not even between the different races that make up this country. The strongest tribal division may be happening between the cultures of fundamentalist conservatism and the rest of society which it demonizes. When a president of the United States can consistently support using the views of the religious right to dominate our laws and culture, we should have cause for concern. A universalism for today will have to seek the common moral ground that can transcend even these persistent, familiar animosities, which have helped create this great cultural division. Animosities such as those around gender roles and reproductive rights. To paraphrase Christopher Lasch, the circumstances of our collective insecurity in the world make it necessary for us to trust those who cannot be subjected to our control. If American politics today represents the mobilization of resentment, universalism represents the mobilization of trust, conceived not as a favor we bestow upon others, but as a necessity imposed on us by our common weakness. The ever-changing technologies of communication, wireless internet, digital media, have brought the world closer than it has ever been before. And yet we know that technology itself does not hold the answer that we seek. When ancient hatreds, personal greeds, and demonizing the other all conspire to create tribal warfare and terrorism, the first thing that is sacrificed is the technology on which we are so dependent. There is a spiritual challenge that must be met for the technical miracles of which we are capable to make a difference in the world. Universalism today speaks to that spiritual challenge. In an essay on liberal religion in the 21st century, the former president of our Unitarian Universalist Association, Bill Schultz, offers a call to proclaim this renewed universalism. He says, "Every race or nation, with their divergent appearances, customs, and interests, is a challenge to the self-sufficiency of every other. And in the face of such challenges, we forget our common roots and common tribulations." Surely, one of the things about religion is to remind us not just that we are free, but that we will each die. Not just that we are different, but that we are each subject to the grace and capable of praise. If we are to overcome nationalism, economic exploitation, and the accumulative mentality, we require a religious proclamation of that which binds us to one another, to the earth, and to the holy. The universalism that we embody in our contemporary Unitarian Universalist churches must create a home for the diversity that exists around us if we are to be an authentic voice speaking for the one that there is to be found among the many. We need not worry that other ways of being in the world will dominate or overpower the ways of being to which we have become accustomed. We need not fear the new tribalism if we, ourselves, can begin to appreciate the strengths and insight of cultures different from that which predominates in our churches. A religious proclamation of that which binds us to one another, and to the earth, and to the holy, must begin in this day and age with the words, "From the one, many." Let us search for new ways to live this kind of universalist faith in all that we do. It is time to extinguish the chalice. I am going to blow out the candle in front of me. If you've lit a candle at home, feel free to blow it out as well. We extinguish this chalice flame, daring to carry forward the vision of this free faith, that freedom, reason, and justice will one day prevail in this nation and across the earth. Our closing words are, "A world attained." And now, since the struggle deepens, since evil abides, and good does not yet prosper, let us gather what strength we have, what confidence and valor that our small victories may end in triumph, and the world awaited be a world attained. Thank you for listening. I hope you have a good week. Don't forget to drop off your ballots.